All right, I'm not trying to get sued by Dave Ramsey, but this on social media is not cool. Let's talk about it. So today we're reacting to the Dave Ramsey show, reacting to my horrible credit score advice on TikTok.
So I'm a millennial, and so I keep up with the burgeoning social media trends that are out there, and one of those is TikTok. And there's a lot of financial gurus out there who can't grow facial hair yet.
That is a big shot. That facial hair is like the makeup for men.
And they are giving some terrible financial advice that truly makes my blood boil.
That's a tough one. I'm gonna be thinking about that for weeks.
I just have to get in the middle of the mess and walk everyone off the ledge because they're listening to 60-second videos and then making huge financial decisions because of it.
By that extension, you shouldn't read books that are any shorter than 500 pages, or 600 pages in this case, or you shouldn't read research articles that are less than 600 words. I don't necessarily think the word count is reflective of the advice being poor or financially sound. And if someone is able to present sound advice in 60 seconds, all power to them, not wasting the audience time going around in circles with a poorly presented argument.
We're gonna play a video that producer James found that made my blood boil. He really knows how to push my buttons. We're gonna react to it, and then we're gonna teach you guys a better way.
I'm excited to learn about the better way because I have a very good idea of what it is, but let's see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this guy knows what he's talking about.
So let's roll that beautiful bean footage.
When I'm 30, I want to be debt-free and own no credit cards. You know, you might regret that. What? How? Well, how are you planning on getting a house or a car? Yeah, I'm just gonna use, look at this guy. He's like stroking his beard while looking at my inadequate facial hair. He's doing that on purpose. It's all cash. By chance, did Dave Ramsey teach you this? Yes, why? That advice is for people who are already in debt or don't know how to manage their money. The truth is, credit cards can help build your credit, which is very important. And if you pay them off in full, you'll never owe any interest. And with housing prices so high, good credits might be the only way most people are gonna be able to get a house. Now that I think about it, saving up $400,000 in cash doesn't sound very reasonable. That advice might work for some, but personal finance should never be a one-size-fits-all. Follow to learn the truth.
Okay, wow. That moved so fast, I thought I was having a stroke for a second.
That's actually a good point, but I've kind of had to create that content in a very quick-moving fashion. Otherwise, people get bored and then they swipe to the next video, whereas YouTube really is a better platform for these longer type videos where we can have a discussion and hopefully not lose the audience interest in 2 seconds.
He was saying that it is unwise to save up $400,000 cash to get a house, and that our advice is terrible.
Okay, now I'm gonna disagree again there because I didn't quite say that it was unwise, I said that it was unreasonable. Just because saving up hundreds of thousands of dollars cash to buy a house could take an average US citizen years, if not decades, at which point the price of the housing market could have very well doubled in that time, making it impossible for them to actually ever own a home if they're trying to do it all cash.
And on top of that, that you need to be building your credit score. You need to be opening that credit card, going into debt, staying in debt, paying it off all perfectly so that you can build that beautiful FICO score.
That's also something that I disagree with because I didn't recommend that people go into debt or stay in debt. That's definitely not what people should be doing because that implies that they're paying interest on their debt. Whereas my recommendation was to get a credit card and then pay it off in full so that you never pay any interest. On top of that, I actually have a full book of credit cards, dozens and dozens of credit cards, 20 plus active ones. And despite having all of these credit cards, I've never actually paid a single cent in interest or any unexpected fees because I pay off my credit cards on time. That being said, I also do have an amazing credit score.
And the truth is that that is a lie. And here's why I know that's a lie, because I have purchased a house without a credit score, and I didn't save up $400,000 cash to do it.
That's a really good point, and I actually believe this guy. I know it is possible to purchase a home without a credit score using manual underwriting. So let's just see what he discloses about manual underwriting and if he gives you the full picture.
And so let me tell you our actual advice when it comes to housing, just to make things clear. Yes, we don't want you to have any debt at all. The only type of debt that we won't yell at you for is a 15-year fixed-rate mortgage where you can put 10 to 20% down, and the payment ends up being no more than a quarter of your take-home pay.
And that's actually really good advice for people that are on a budget and potentially have had history with problems paying off debt or managing their money. That is a really good strategy that can really bottleneck you into a home that is extremely affordable that you should have no problem paying off. However, that type of home, doing their calculation usually doesn't allow for very much home to be purchased. Maybe not even a home at all in the zip code that the people are living in. And while this strategy might work for some people, it's definitely not a good blanket approach because housing prices differ by zip code, by state, and of course you also have to have enough income to justify purchasing a home with their strategy.
When they turn 18, the parents go, you got to open a credit card. And they go, why? Well, you got to have the credit score. Well, why? So you can get a car loan, so you can get a massive mortgage with nothing down.
And that's actually advice that I wish my parents gave me when I was 18, when I finally became old enough to get a credit card. But unfortunately, they didn't know much about credit, and so I couldn't benefit from any kind of financial advice. And what happened instead was that I got 2 vehicle loans over 5 years while I was in high school and in college so that I could drive to my work and my university, and it ended up costing me thousands of dollars extra in interest payments, all because I didn't have a good credit score because I didn't even know that I needed a credit card to be able to improve my score. I actually ended up getting a credit card when I was 21 and was able to build my credit score for my 3rd car loan, which ended up being at the lowest interest rate possible. That being said, I could have potentially afforded a $1,000 or $2,000 vehicle to get me to and from places until I could afford a more expensive vehicle all in cash. However, living in Alaska, I really needed a reliable vehicle, and I really couldn't afford to get the cheapest car possible because of the potential required repairs and maintenance associated with a really low-end vehicle. Instead, what ended up happening is I got my first vehicle for $10,000, and then I opted for a slight upgrade up to a $12,000 vehicle, which also allowed me to get rid of that really expensive first loan for a slightly better loan term the second time around, which actually decreased my vehicle payments, even though I made an upgrade in what kind of vehicle I was driving.
You don't need it to rent a house or an apartment. And I've called all over the country. We did this on the fine print on our credit score episode.
That's actually a really good point. Many people don't realize that sometimes apartment complexes or landlords require a credit background before renting a property. And I can say as a landlord of dozens of units, I've had over 20 at one point, managing tons of tenants, that credit score is something that we pay attention to. And often if a individual isn't willing to give their credit score or has no credit score, as a landlord, I'm not very interested in providing them with a housing opportunity because there are so many other competitive applicants who do provide a credit score. It's not that I'm discriminating against people that don't want to be in debt, and I definitely have provided housing to people with no credit score in the past, but in this really competitive market, as a tenant, it really does help to have every single opportunity at your advantage, and unfortunately, it's just how the game is played. Most landlords and property managers really do prefer a tenant with a credit score over those that don't have one. While it is possible to rent without one, you're going to be a lot more competitive if you do have a good credit score.
And then finally, the big one, you don't need it to buy a house. And our friends at Churchill Mortgage do this every day. It's called manual underwriting or a no-score loan.
This is definitely an option for a lot of people that don't want to go through the process of building a credit score. Manual underwriting can be done by quite a few different companies in the US, and it's usually a pretty straightforward process. You present them all the information that you would less a credit score, and they try to base a lending decision off of that information. However, there are huge downsides to this. And actually, I'm looking for a comment now on this video, which I can't find anymore, unfortunately, but it was a guy who is kind of recounting the process he went through to potentially get manual underwriting when he was looking for a home. And he mentioned all of the excessive fees that they have with the manual underwriting process, including an interest rate that is several points above the industry norm. And if you're paying an extra 3 to 6% on your mortgage, it could add up to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of more interest expense over the life of the loan. That being said, if you're trying to pay off your loan as quickly as possible, it may not be as big of a deal. However, it's definitely something that you do need to consider. And it's not that manual underwriting will get you as competitive a loan as regular financing, but rather that there are trade-offs, and with this manual underwriting, you might be paying more in interest and fees.
TikTokers, you gotta stop spreading this misinformation because that video has millions of views. And the comments are all very thankful, and they're all going, yeah, that Dave Ramsey guy, man, what a scam artist, because he tells you to get out of debt. and stay out of debt because he wants you to build wealth and have financial peace.
That being said, I don't think Dave is a scam artist by any means. He's helped a lot of people get out of debt and improve their financial well-being, and it's hard to criticize anyone that has helped other people with their finances. So I understand Dave's methodology and practice, and his rules around personal finance are very different than mine or what's most commonly accepted in the personal finance space. However, I think it's very improper to call him a scam artist because he has helped so many people. At the end of the day, his goal is to help people with personal finances with a touch of selling his own products, but overlooking that, I think he's doing way more good than harm. That being said, thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you don't ravage this guy on the comments section of his video because he's definitely not trying to be inflammatory, and I understand that the purpose of the Dave Ramsey production show is to make videos that help people with personal finance, but that is also my goal. So if you like this video, please make sure to let me know in the comments and subscribe for more because the other videos that I make on this channel are way better.